Putin's rule weakening, preparations underway for power struggle, Snyder. Timothy Snyder, a history professor at Yale University, said Saturday that Russian President Vladimir Putin's rule is weakening and noted that preparations for a power struggle are underway. Snyder said in a Twitter thread that one sign Putin is losing control is that some former Russian officials such as Dmitry Medvedev have spoken about the consequences awaiting Ukraine and the West. Medvedev, Putin's staunch ally and Russia's former president, recently warned that the West's response to Russia's war in Ukraine could lead to the Eastern European country losing the remnants of its state sovereignty and disappearing from the world map. Normally, coverage of such statements focuses on their content. It is tempting to get caught up in Russian fear propaganda. However, the real story is that other people besides Putin now feel entitled to make such statements. Before the war, that was less the case, Snyder said. He further argued that this doomsday propaganda shows loyalty to Putin while possibly preparing a power struggle after Putin's fall. If Russia loses the war, the people who are saying radical things now will have protected themselves. I for one tend to see the drastic pronouncements as evidence that important Russians believe Russia is losing, Snyder said. I'm not convinced that Medvedev, who for years was seen as a liberal alternative to Putin, believes the anti-Semitic, anti-Polish and anti-Western hate speech he posts on Telegram. He is creating a profile for himself that could be useful later, just as his technocrat profile was once useful, the Yale professor added. Moreover, Putin is also seen as weak because his army is not achieving its goals in Ukraine, Snyder said. Some critics and officials had previously made similar observations, including US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who said Putin had not achieved his strategic goals in Ukraine. The balance that keeps Putin in power, domination over rivals, soft popular support, integrity of the army, is being challenged by the realities of an unpredictable, costly war. Putin was good at keeping us all in the fog. But now he seems lost even in the fog of war, Snyder said on Saturday. In June, the professor criticized Russia's Black Sea blockade, which prevents the transfer of Ukrainian grain exports to other countries, saying the measure serves to generate refugees who would potentially destabilize the European Union. Putin's starvation plan also aims to generate refugees from North Africa and the Middle East, areas that are normally supplied by Ukraine. This would lead to instability in the EU, Snyder wrote on Twitter at the time. Due to the Russian war in Ukraine, the Black Sea ports in Ukraine had to be closed, which endangered food supplies. However, both countries reached an agreement brokered by Turkey and the United Nations to free the Black Sea ports to release tens of millions of tons of Ukrainian grain. On a normal day, about 3,000 container loads of grain would arrive at Ukrainian ports, including Odessa, where they are stored in huge silos. However, Ukraine accused Russia of firing missiles at its port in Odessa hours after the grain deal. The Ukrainian military Southern Command said 2 Russian caliber cruise missiles hit the port infrastructure, but there were no casualties, the Associated Press reported. However, the Odessa regional governor said an unspecified number of people had been injured, the AP said.